This is the Listen Up Future Nurse podcast, and you're listening to Season 2, Episode 11. In this episode, Bridging Self-Care and Cosmetology to Psych Mental Health Nursing, Sharrell shares her unique background in cosmetology and how teaching self-care to clients eventually extended to helping her classmates with advice. She describes her personal, quote, recon work of stepping outside of her comfort zone to focus on self development, which empowered her to support others. We explore her life journey from studying psychology earlier on to figuring out how to enter healthcare. Though she didn't fully believe she was qualified, she earned her spot in nursing school through determination and divine intervention. Sharrell reflects on her experience as one of few Black students in her program, the trauma bonds of nursing school, her plans for a DNP in psychiatric mental health, and shares her aspirations to serve Black women in mental health. She also discusses her involvement with nursing organizations, the value of volunteering, and networking with mentors. Finally, Sharrell offers practical advice for future nurses, including getting out of your own way, staying organized, and avoiding procrastination. You're listening to an episode of Listen Up Future Nurse Podcast. Scan the QR code if you're watching, or click the link in the podcast show notes to get your virtual remote. Make sure to tune in and subscribe on Spreaker and follow us on all of your favorite podcast locations. And watch us live online on all of your favorite social media sites. No login, no problem. No matter if social media isn't your thing or you're taking a break, you can listen in right on our website. Save your data and this episode by downloading it from our website, NursingInspired.com/podcast. So if you have to take a pause, you don't lose your place where you were listening or your battery power. That'll also help our podcast rankings rise to the top. This podcast is hosted by Fallon and Flowers. Sharrell Page is a dedicated nursing student at Samuel Merritt University, currently in the second semester of her junior year, pursuing a Bachelor of First academic foundation that includes African American Studies and Social Science. She is preparing for a future career in nursing. Sharrell has consistently maintained a GPA of 3.5 or higher throughout her studies, most recently achieving a 3.9 GPA, earning her a spot on the Dean's List. She is an active member of the National Black Nurses Association, NBNA, through the California Bay Area Black Nurses Association, BABNA chapter, and is in the process of becoming a member of Chi Eta Phi Sorority Incorporated Lambda Chi Chi chapter, an organization committed to service for humanity. Sharrell's professional experience spans customer service and personal wellness, with a particular focus on cosmetology and self-care, bridging her passion from healthcare to nursing. And after earning her BSN, she intends to pursue a Doctor of Nursing Practice DMP with a specialization with psychiatric mental health. She is deeply committed to promoting holistic health, particularly for individuals within the African diaspora, and believes in the importance of addressing all aspects of well-being for true healing. Sharrell's goal is to restore compassion to healthcare and to address healthcare disparities by ensuring that every individual feels valued and included in their care. She is dedicated to advocating for underserved populations and looks forward to continuing her journey towards becoming a registered nurse, ready to embrace the challenges and rewards of the profession. All right. Welcome, everyone, guests, and all of our listeners, as well as Sharrell Page here, our guest today. I'm so glad to have you. How are you today?
I am fine. I'm fine.
And where are you hailing in from?
From Oakland, California.
All right, California, y'all hear her now. Y'all better come on out here and share this episode and get on in here and let people know that somebody in your state is here on our podcast today. So I am so excited to have you here, especially now. This is actually the start of season 2, so you're my first guest for this season, which I really wanted to make sure to focus in on bringing in more nursing students, pre-nursing students, folks that work in nursing education, so that we can help future nurses. So listen up, future nurse, y'all listen in, okay? So she is phenomenal, as you may have heard in her bio, and you can also read about her in our show notes. And so, welcome again, Sharrell. So great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here too.
Yes. So, um, I was looking at in your bio, and we had some talks before we got to recording everything about your background. I do want to know, just kind of starting off with your background in cosmetology, self care, and wellness. Can you tell us more about that journey before you actually got into nursing school?
That journey has been like a lifelong journey since I was a kid. My dad would take me and buy nail products from Walgreens. So this was always something I would do. I would do my hair. Of course, I had the bald Barbies, all the things that the little girls do. Um, when I got about 25 is when I went to, which was a little while ago, I went to cosmetology school. I
Okay.
actually went to Paul Mitchell Cosmetology School because I wanted to be a little more well-rounded and more versed, um, in cosmetology. I got my license there, and I didn't really practice too much. It was still more of like a thing I would do for friends and families. Nothing. I did work in some salons and stuff, but I never really got too far into it because then I got sidetracked into another part of my life, and I got a job. Here in the Bay Area, we have like a big transit agency, so that's like a real good job, as people would call it. So I was working there, but still I would do, hair and nails and whatever someone wanted me to do. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, were you helping people with, thinking about their own self care and wellness also while you were serving them, with doing hair and doing nails and things like that, or was that separate?
No, I would help them. I would give them information on how to take care of themselves. Beyond that's probably how the nursing part got here. But I would tell them, just having conversation with people because people share a lot with you when they're in your
Mm.
chair, or just spending time with them. If you see people, you kind of build a connection. So, um, yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. Because the interesting thing is that in nursing, although we see a lot of, especially now in today's world, it's a lot of more people that are present on social media, and they are showing themselves and they look good, baby. No shame, glam nurses, we're out there. But the one thing outside of that and behind closed doors, behind, when we turn Instagram, YouTube, all of that off, is the self care piece, because we're so busy taking care of other people that we really don't have the best self care. And that can sometimes be a struggle and a challenge. And then I saw, for your aspirations that, you're seeking to become a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner and professional, when you get into your nursing career. So tell us, if any of this self-care, wellness, and cosmetology, beauty background, all of these things, if they lend to any of that, and just overall, like what made you want to become a nurse?
Well, how I wanted to become a nurse is working in one of my jobs, which required me to be involved with a lot of all the things I've done have been like involved with other people. So just being able to see the other people and things that they go through, um, kind of like brought all, my whole nursing thing together. I want people to look good. I want them to feel good. Sometimes if you don't feel good, as long as you look good, it kind of, brings you together. Um, my nursing is it just comes from that, just wanting people to feel better, be better, and also the lack of African American nurses and the representation. So it's like a It's a
Mm.
whole, it's kind of hard for me when people ask me, it's really hard for me to put together because I haven't figured out how I'm going to put all of it together in one little package. So I have a kind of a difficult time trying to convey that whole idea. But I want people, you have to work on your mental health, because mental health is a big part of your whole well-being. That part of people is usually like negated or forgotten
Yeah.
about. People could be looking good or look good,
Mm-hmm.
and their mental space could be trash, or they're completely all over the place. So I want to figure out how
Absolutely.
to like bring all of that together with the self-care, taking care of yourself on the outside, because people, us as African American Black people, we always look good, but we never kind of take the time to see what's really going on inside. And I think, I don't know how I'm gonna put it together, but I want to be able to, work on our mental health. We always sweep that under the rug. I'm
Yeah.
strong, I don't have to deal with that, or as long as I look good or I'm moving along in life, I'm fine. But that's not
Mm-hmm.
true a lot of times. So I want to bridge me being a cosmetologist, working with people, hearing people's stories, that working with the public, seeing that there's a disconnect there, being African American, seeing that we have a mental health disconnect. It's a lot. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I want to
Wow.
kind of bring all of those aspects into one to make us a healthier person all the way around. Looking good, feeling good, being good, thinking good, sharing that positivity with other people.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I absolutely love that. That takes me back a little bit. I once spoke at like in a conference, and it was titled something like that. It was like look good, feel good, do good, or something like that. Um, but nevertheless, I really love how you are really looking at not only mental health, because a lot of people have been just in general ignoring that, but especially also, like you said, in the Black and African American community as well, because we'll look good. That hair be live. What does they say? What they say? Fried, dyed, and laid to the side. All the things, right? Fit, popping, all the things. But inside we're broken.
Hmm.
And we really, it sounds like what you really want to do is kind of just take a holistic approach
Yeah.
to what you want to be able to provide to people. And actually, have you gone into your psych nursing classes and rotations just yet?
So that was our first semester, was a psych nursing, and I kind of worked at a kind of cushy kind of place. It wasn't
Okay.
as I had wanted it, or the people that I would want to come in contact with or serve. That wasn't the kind of people, but I have done that
Okay.
already.
Wow, that's really, really. Now, so you already knew prior to nursing school then that this is kind of what you wanted to do, you think, or did this kind of evolve after you got into, like after you went into your psych nursing course?
Okay, so how I got here. When I looked back a long time, and my mom reminded me this not that long ago. She was like, "Well, you said you wanted to do psychology and be like a psychiatrist or something." And that was like the classes I kind of focused on when I started my AA over 15, 20 years ago. Those were kind of the classes I was taking. And
Yeah.
so, like I said, I got sidetracked, and I've been going through this path. And then when I did do my psychology, or I mean the psych clinicals, and part of the classes, part of our studying program, I, the person that we had, she was an NP, a nurse practitioner, and she
Nice.
was in psych. And so I was like, I kind of thought about it too. I was like, oh, this is kind of like the bridge to where I said I
Mm,
wanted to go a long time ago, which got derailed, not derailed, or the past kind of had to go through some things.
yeah.
So came back to it. My mom even reminded me. She said, "Remember you said you want to do like psychology and psychiatry?" And he's like, "Well, you got to be a doctor and all of this." So it's coming full circle, kind of. At
Mm.
this point.
Wow. Thank God for the people in our lives that can kind of remind us, of our, previous wishes or dreams that maybe, they just got delayed for a while, but it's not denied, that's for sure. And then the other wonderful thing is about exposure, because that's actually in a way what helped to bring me to be, realizing that I can actually become a women's health nurse practitioner. And so I'm so glad that you were able to have that experience to, be in your psychiatric rotations and actually meet a nurse practitioner. Ours, when I was in my program, was actually on, it was on a psychiatric unit at a hospital here in Chicago, Jackson Park Hospital, actually on the 6th floor. And so I definitely saw people, since that was on the south side of Chicago, people that looked like me, and it was really a rewarding experience. It was an eye-opening experience, really, because we all know that mental health can affect people in different ways, but I think seeing people in that way, inpatient, was really something that I hadn't really expected to see people like. And so, I had known previously about, because I had actually got my associate's degree in psychology, my first associate's degree anyway. And so, we kind of touched on things here and there, but I think nursing, when you add psychology to nursing, it really kind of opens your eyes, like, wow, how much people can really be affected kind of on the furthest extremes, that I'd say. But I know that you'll be able to, even though you've already had that course and that clinical and everything, I'm sure that you'll be able to, in time, find work experiences and things like that to kind of further lend to that as you work your way towards a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Yes. I have some people I've kind of been in contact with, and they ask me, what do you want to do? And they know some people that work at some of the mental health. We have outpatient. Well, no, it's a hospital. It has inpatient and outpatient here near us. So they was like, okay, we're going to see if we can get you in contact with them and see, what I can do or how I can go and learn some more. Because like I said, the rotation that we had I felt like it was good, but it wasn't enough. I mean, it's never going to be enough. You're always going to constantly be learning something. I wish it was in a different environment.
Yes.
Then it was a hospital, but like I said, it wasn't the people that I would truly want to serve.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. That's totally fair. Because also the research has even just shown just the way that mental health is expressed in certain people, it looks different, sometimes in certain cultures, even certain genders. I've even seen how there's been research to show that the way Black men exhibit depression, is totally different, than we've sometimes seen in the clinical setting or the books, especially with a lot of the past just knowledge that we've developed over time on mental health in general has been, on Caucasian, people. And so we have to look at, working with different cultures and looking at them and seeing, what they're going through, how they, show certain things. And I'm so glad that you didn't stop at that and say, hey, okay, well, I know I'll get to it later. I had my class and my clinical and that's it. No, you kept going and you said, hey, let me talk to some people so I can find, more time to be able to fully develop this skill and this knowledge so that I can be the best psychiatric mental health nurse and nurse practitioner that I can.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. And so I want to take a moment to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back because I do want to look more at your journey also for you now as a nursing student coming up. So once we come back from that, we can talk about that more.
Okay.
You're listening to an episode of Listen Up Future Nurse Podcast. Scan the QR code if you're watching, or click the link in the podcast show notes to get your virtual remote. Make sure to tune in and subscribe on Spreaker and follow us on all your favorite podcast locations. And watch us live online on all of your favorite social media sites. Do you have ideas about moving info@NursingInspired.com or text at 773-609-0649. All right, so we are back. So we talked a little bit about so far, just your background prior to nursing, and then also part of what made you want to become a nurse, and kind of what your end goals are. So tell us what your journey has been so far as your nursing school journey. So if you don't mind sharing how old you were when you started nursing school, how many schools you applied to, if you applied to a mixture of programs or one program type, like did you only apply to BSN or did you also look at associates or LPN? Like, tell us more about your nursing school journey so far.
Okay, well, let's see. The journey started back in 2004. That's when I graduated high school. So it's been a while. Like I said, I had went to community college. I got my AS in um, social science because they were like, you need to pick something. I did a lot of African American history classes. I had like English classes. I took psychology. It was, like if you look at my transcript, it's years long. So it was a long journey. So they was like, pick something. So I did the I got my AS in social science. So from
Okay.
there, I worked, got my cosmetology license in that time too. And literally, maybe it's been about two and a half years. It's been like 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years. Um, I had got hurt at my job. I worked there for like 10 years. It was customer service at one of our
Mm.
transit agencies here. So I got hurt. Had surgery, went back, got hurt again, had surgery again. So I was like,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
I need to find something that's more fulfilling. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
a good job, but I wanted to find something more fulfilling. I want to feel like I earned it. With
Hmm.
that job, it's a good job, but I didn't feel like I earned the job. Like I applied for the job,
Mm.
got the job, made the money, but I didn't earn it. I didn't have to go. I didn't feel like I had to struggle or go through anything, even though we shouldn't have to struggle. But I didn't feel like I had earned that. So literally,
Mm. I
I woke
see.
up and I was like, I want to be a nurse. So
Hmm.
I just started Googling stuff. And I was like, okay. And I went and pulled up my old transcripts. I didn't have any science classes because everything's been more like social, like psychology kind of stuff is what I had on there. So I
Yeah,
pulled up the school that's near me. Of course, when you Google the schools that near you come up first. So Samuel Merritt was the school that
absolutely.
came up near me. So I went and looked at all their prereqs. So I needed all the sciences. I needed the microbiology, chemistry, anatomy, all the sciences, and I didn't have statistics. I had math, but I didn't have statistics because I don't
Mm.
like math. So I was like, oh. So that's the first class that I actually registered for, and I got to do it online, which really, really helped
Okay.
because more thorough and stuff. So that's how I started. So I basically just followed the guidelines or their prereqs for Samuel Merritt. And as I looked at other schools, I seen that the prereqs were all pretty similar, minus like maybe one or two um, classes. So
Okay.
I followed their guideline and I started applying for like phlebotomy classes because I didn't
Hmm.
I would be able to so based on after I did my research, I didn't feel like my GPA and stuff would qualify me to get into like the nursing program. I didn't know they were competitive because I don't have
Mm.
any I don't have any like mentors. I didn't know any nurses. I didn't know anybody in the field. So this is all me like blindly just doing research trying to figure it out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, so I finally, like I said, I started applying for like phlebotomy classes. I started applying for like public health, like just to go see if I can get like a bachelor's in public health and then maybe from there get a master's in nursing. So I just was trying to figure out, I was just applying, just seeing which avenue would get me there. And once I
Hmm.
started, I wanted to keep going. So I didn't want to have any pausing. I didn't want to have time to think about what I'm doing. I just want to
Gotcha.
keep going. So I applied for it. So the first school, like I said, was Samuel Merritt. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that school came up and they have like a nursing seminar where you just go and you get information, but it's a little more
Mm-hmm.
like you come in for like 3 days and go through like they tell
Wow.
you stuff. So I did that first. Then I would go to all the other online informationals for different schools. I was looking between here up in Northern California where I live
Mm-hmm.
and Southern California because I have family that live down there. So they live by like UCLA and all of
Okay.
those down there. So I was looking up here and down there because whichever school I could get in first is where I was going. Um,
Gotcha.
and I knew I had somewhere I could go and stay that down there, which they would help me. So that was
Mhm.
my goal, was to look here and there. And I applied for some of the, like a, what I said, like a health administration kind of courses, but some of
Mm.
my transfer over that I had. And I applied for some. So I did. I didn't apply for cellular merit in the beginning. I had got all my references together. I got everything. We had to take the HESI. I had
Mhm.
that off. I put everything off. I had everything lined up. I had filled out the application. And I put it off. They extended
Mm.
the date for that your application was due. Then they extended it again. I still didn't turn it
Mm.
in. Then I was like,
Wow.
I should just turn it in. My GPA wasn't where they needed a 3.0. Like I said, I've been going to school for a long time, so they count all those classes
Yeah.
that uh, even the classes, as life was going, I would just stop going to school, or like
Mhm.
just things I would do. So I applied to Samuel Merritt. I was like, oh, what? And at that point, they said you didn't need the HESI score. I had already took the HESI. It wasn't that great either. So I just
Mm.
applied. And I could see, I followed some groups online. I could see they had already did sent out all their acceptance letters and everything.
Hmm.
Then maybe like a month before school, I got this email, and I was like, "What is this?" And I opened it, and it was an acceptance letter saying,
Wow.
"Oh, you got in." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I had already missed the orientation, but they were going to do another orientation. So when people
Hmm.
ask me, "How did you get in there?" I'm like, "I don't know. It must be what it was meant. It was meant for me uh, to go there. It had to be because, like I said, my GPA wasn't what it needed to be. Like because based on all my other stuff, and once I started taking my prereqs, those were all A's and B's. I did get one C, but
Mhm.
those were all A's and B's. But all the other stuff that they counted made my GPA lower than what it should have been.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I ended up only applying to. I actually applied to like Unitech, and their criteria to get in is a little different because they want you to take your prereqs there as well. So
Okay.
they wouldn't let me. They were like, oh, you can get in, but they basically take in a certain amount of people, and if some of those people start dropping out, then they'll take in people that have their prereqs. So
Mm.
Unitech, I did apply there. I applied to Cambridge, or no, I was going to apply there, but I don't know. Theirs is kind of like a little different. They have like a rolling application date, so they take people
Gotcha.
that to apply, and then I applied. That was like over a year ago. Matter of fact, last week I got a message from them saying that they would. Oh, we're going to look at your application now. I'm already a year in, halfway done
Huh.
with
Right.
my program, and a lot of other schools are like, "Oh, you can apply now," and I was like, "I think it worked out how it should. It must be
Mhm.
meant for me to be on this path because everything has been aligning. When I say everything, from the financials, everything has been aligning. It's been just
Wow.
coming from nowhere. When that's like at the end of the line, then it just comes. So I think I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Wow. 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 What an amazing journey. Especially when you kept saying, I said, well, I mean, I already know from your bio, that you're there at Samuel Merritt, but it was like, you said the deadline kept extending, it kept extending, and it just made me think of sometimes it's like when we just think we're not ready or we're not good enough or it's not, we just need to do a little bit more, that it's better to still try to still kind of give that effort, because lo and behold, that's where you are now. And the interesting thing is too, where you believe that, although you were just so shy of where the GPA were supposed to be, here you are now, being on the dean's list, in your
Right.
nursing program,
Right.
I mean, and, all of these achievements and everything that you have, gotten so far. And so it's just a wonderful thing. But it's also funny. I'm laughing too, just because I think about some of the same things happened to me. I remember being applying to a program, and it was some stuff happened that it was just a little all over the place. But here I was a year in. I was already into my program already, and then they send me a letter, and it's just like, what? What? It's too late
Right.
now.
That's what I said. I was like, oh,
We done.
right. I'm halfway
What you
through. Like, okay, thank you.
Right. What you think we doing? Right. Well, I appreciate you, but thanks, but no thanks, Sorry, and so But yeah, but things absolutely, I think worked out the way they did, and that's so interesting that you were kind of just, just forging your own way, whatever you had to do. If you were applying to, public health, looking at phlebotomy, you were just, trying to find any which way to keep that momentum going and to achieve the goal, that you had in mind, and just kind of get something going, and just kind of finding out all the things, even about the transfer, issues and things, because that's, I think, a thing that a lot of people don't realize too, is that some schools are so particular like that they only want you to take the prerequisites at their school only, and they only want you to take the SCRTs at their school only, and all of these things. But, I try to talk to students about things like, making sure to not get yourself tied up into one school and putting all your eggs in one basket, because what if that was the school that you had started off with first, and then now you may or may not have still have gotten in. So you've done all the things for them, but what about all the other schools, and you
Right.
didn't, and then those may have not transferred. And so it's definitely all about looking at multiple schools and just having an approach that's kind of like wide reaching, shall we say, and everything.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that it all worked out, and here you are now.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. And
I just started looking at schools beyond this one. Like, okay, I'm like, because I want to keep going. I don't want to stop. I don't want to give myself time to think. I don't want to get comfortable or anything. So I just want to keep going. So I've actually started looking at like the DNP programs for psychology or psychiatrics and mental health. So I've been starting there because I'm like, I want to start in January. I'll be done with this in December. I want to start that in January as soon as I can after, or December of next year. I
mm,
want to start that as soon as I can. So I've started looking into that. I don't want to stop. Don't give myself time to think, because then you procrastinate. I'm a procrastinator, so I don't want to be able to
mm,
think about anything. Just I want to get to the goal, and then we can relax and figure it out from there.
I definitely hear that. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely make sure to, do your research, and, you're already kind of connecting with folks that are psychiatric MPs. I know there are some programs, that do have the guideline of having to say that you have to have about 2,000 hours of work experience as a nurse, prior to entering their program. But I know you'll be working that thing out, whatever you need to do to kind of get to the end goal in mind. Especially now, like you said, you had already met some folks that work in certain facilities, inpatient, outpatient, folks that are nurse practitioners, nurses, and all of that, so that you can do that. And then I did see that you are involved in a couple of organizations. One I am very familiar with and root for all the time, and definitely share for. This don't say that, but I just want y'all to see it says Black Nurses Rock. So, but specifically, you're part of National Black Nurses Association. Whoop, whoop.
Yes.
I'm with Chicago chapter here.
Okay.
And what chapter are you with?
We're with BABNA, so it's the Bay Area Black Nurses Association.
Yes, all right. Y'all hear Babna. So that is so important to have that involvement and that professional development. I really love how not only are you involved there, but you're actually in the process with a nursing. So is this a nursing? What kind of organization is this? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. Oh yeah, like what is the sorority? I'm sorry. Can you tell us more about that?
So here is Lumba Kai Kai. The national one is, hold on, forgive me for a second. It's Phi Eta Chi. So that's the national one. But here our chapter is Lumba Kai Kai, and then I'll be in the Beta
Okay.
chapter, which is for undergraduates. Forgive me if I said anything wrong, guys. So
Gotcha.
just be familiar.
Gotcha. No, that's all right. That's more than all right. Really, I'm just glad to see that you are being involved, and in just extending yourself out. And you also have a LinkedIn profile. How would you say, how important would you say actually that is to have that level of professional development with being involved in nursing organizations, sororities, having a LinkedIn profile as a nursing student and as an aspiring nurse?
So all of this is brand new. My school, they're trying to be more like, diversified and bring in all different, aspects into the nursing. So there's a lot of, that's where I'm getting involved in those two organizations is through my school. Um,
Okay.
So we have a Black Student Association there as well, and they send out emails all the time. And I see one of the emails saying,
Hmm.
uh, did I want to go to the NBNA conference, because it was right here in San Francisco, which is right
Yes.
across about 15 minutes from me this year. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh, we'll pay for you to go. So that's how all of this kind of started. All of that getting involved started. So that was only in July. So where we at? We're in September. So that was like maybe a
Right.
month and a half, 2 months ago. So
Mm-hmm.
I started my LinkedIn, and were like, you need to have a LinkedIn. I was like, I have one, but I, I don't know how to use it.
Hmm.
So they told me to, I just start going on there. Like I said, my friends say I do the best recon work. So I just was going on there, looking around, seeing what every people were doing. So that picture that's actually on there is the picture I took at the conference, at the Black Nurses Conference.
Okay.
And I made a lot of connections there, and I see that connections are important because, like I said, I'm usually a person that kind of just forges alone, figure it out myself. But sometimes you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to do that if you have other people who have already done the work. You can use them as resources, or help you along the way. So I'm
Yes.
learning that sometimes you do need help. So that's what I'm learning. So being part of those two organizations is lending me help and showing me that help is available, and that there are people that genuinely want to help you with nothing expected in return. So uh, that's what I'm learning from that, and getting my LinkedIn together. It's still in progress, and just getting acquainted with the organizations. Just started the application process for the sorority. So yeah.
Awesome. Yes, yes, yes. It's really a wonderful thing because it's not just about what you know, it's who you know. Because as you mentioned, yeah, you already had your clinical rotation and class with psychiatric nursing. But then what if you just stopped at that and just said, "Oh, I'll figure it out once I graduate because I just got to pass all these classes, I got to take my exit exams, I got to graduate, get my license, bam." You started meeting people along the way. You got involved and went to the National Black Nurses Association, conference. You connected with people. You created and updated your LinkedIn because it's just not about what you know. It really is about who you know, because those experiences will help, in the long run. So, and with that, would you say that some of these people you think are now, would you say as like mentors, if with any of these organizations or experiences that you've had so far?
I believe I'm making connections to probably acquire a mentor. I don't have a mentor per se yet, or one that's like officially, or we said that this, but there's people that I am looking up to. I am seeing what they are doing. Um, our school kind of offers us a mentor, but it's just like another student that's ahead of us, which actually does help in your
Mm.
schooling as well,
Okay,
because
good.
I have somebody that's already went through the school, went through that path, so they can kind of give me pointers. But that's the only mentor or like kind of relationship that I have built so far. But I believe that relationships are being built, so that I may acquire a mentor or have someone that can help guide me through this process or through my career path.
Okay, all right. I'm really glad to hear that. I don't know if I've really heard from students that I've talked to that have said that they have a program at their school where they are actually matched up, if you will, and have like a mentor with somebody that's ahead of them to actually also be a guide, which is great because sometimes people they don't have a mentor until well after they graduate nursing school. So and then sometimes not even then, it's well after, until they're already a nurse, and they're kind of going through the thing and trying to figure this thing out and all of that. And so that's wonderful, that the school not only is helping you to be proactive and to have that extra additional support, which I think, for you students that are listening here, is a consideration to look at, hey, what type of programs do you have as far as, mentorship support? What organizations are there for students to be involved in when you go to your nursing program and everything? So I think that's another thing to kind of take a look at as well. So I'm glad that this is kind of turning out this way for you and everything to kind of help further your path and everything. And so I want to go into a quick commercial break, and then we can come back some more, and then finish out after that. And so this has been such an exciting conversation so far, just being able to share your experience, just all the things with everything that you've been through to help the next generation of other nurses, future nurses out there.
Do you do you remember that day you were sitting in high school and one of your instructors started talking about it's time to start preparing your mind for college, thinking about where you want to go, setting goals for the test scores that you'll need to apply, the grades that you need to get while you're here, going on college tours, and making sure you apply for scholarships? That time it may have been new to you, but after a while, this is something you've heard time and time again. Not only from your guidance counselor, but probably every teacher you've had along the way. You already know. This is what they do when they talk about college prep. But did they teach you about the career that you wanted to pursue? You know, something more specific. Something to get your career plans set more in motion. You don't see yourself sitting in that classroom anymore. When you were sitting there daydreaming, you know what you were thinking about? You were thinking about yourself sitting at the nurse's station at your local hospital, saving lives using the art and science of what nurses do.
Go ahead and schedule your one-on-one discovery call today.
Did you know you can apply to over 50 historically black colleges and universities at the same time for only $20? You can with the Common Black College application. Hello, my name is Robert Mason. I'm the founder of the CBCA. Students around the world have completed the application and received multiple acceptance letters, financial aid packages, and scholarship offers. So visit our website at commonblackcollegeapp.com to apply now. And don't forget to pick up the book, Get Educated, The Man Behind the Common Black College Application. Thank you, and get educated.
All right, so we are back, and so you told us about your journey and some of your professional development, and just how you got here so far. So now, with where you are in your program, you have you're in your new your new year and everything, and so you've gotten some experience down under your belt, and so with already having been a year in, what how would you say that you organize yourself for planning for your semester, and what advisement would you give to other future nurses about how they can organize themselves and prepare for school for their school year?
First thing I would say is do not procrastinate. Stay on the top of your assignments. Um, that's like my biggest thing. I'm a procrastinator, so I try to stay on top of my assignments, stay organized. It's better to get it done ahead of time because who knows what may come up, and you don't want to be late. You don't want to not have the time. Be organized. Organize the time that you do have. They say you need to, you have to study a lot. You do, but make sure your studying is meaningful. Make sure your studying is stuff that you actually need. Don't just go through. If you know it, then you know it. If it's something you don't know, go over that part a little bit more. Just stay organized. Um, Make sure your time is productive when you are studying, and just don't. I just keep like emphasizing, don't procrastinate. Like, just stay. So much work, and a lot of it's going to be tedious, kind of like like mindless little work. It's not mindless, but it's real tedious. And at the end, you'll see what it's for. But just try to stay on top of the work. That's all I can say. Is just do it ahead of time. Just try to stay like a week ahead. Just for me, that's what works. Like, just if I just stay ahead, then it still gives you time. You still can have a little bit of a life outside of school, because you still have to maintain that. You don't want to just be so engulfed in studying that you don't have any time, because that could work on your mental health. That can make you depressed. That can make you still have to have time for self care. You still have to do your nails, do your hair, whatever your self care looks like. You still do need to spend time with your friends and family. Yes, school is your main priority, but you still have to have some type of social life. You still have to have. For me, if I didn't have that, that part would be so depressing for me. So I know I have to
Mm,
do my work ahead of time. Like if somebody say they want to do something, make sure I do all my work, make sure I'm studying, make sure I'm in a good place, make sure I plan so that I can
mm,
go and do this. I can go and have this little time for myself or to celebrate a friend or whatever it is. But just stay organized, stay
mm.
motivated, don't procrastinate, and make sure your studying time is like you're studying things that you need to study and staying on top of it.
Yes. Okay. Yes. That I love what you're saying about that piece about still taking care of yourself, and also just having some bit of a social life too, and just just getting a break a little bit as well. But for sure not procrastinating, because there is nothing worse than, because the thing is that it always seems to happen when you in school. I don't know about you or your experience. But it happened to me and other people. You making your way up to 11:59 when an assignment is due, like you got a care plan or something, and that bad boy is 20 pages or whatever, and then the internet goes out, your computer starts to freeze, your head start hurting, something start happening in your house that you didn't expect, and now it's late, for instance. So if it's not an assignment and, having that issue, it's just about not having enough time to really kind of hone in on the things that you don't know. Because you're absolutely right. Once you know that you know it, keep moving, get on to those things that you really don't know, so that you can kind of get to learn those things better. Because as you mentioned, it's hard to kind of see sometimes with all of that tediousness, the point of some of the things that, assignments or the things you need to read or do for nursing school, like why it makes sense until you get to the end. And nursing is something that you have to really build up on that knowledge, and it's not just about memorizing something and spitting it back out. It's just like, yeah, that would be nice if it could, if we could just, identify, like we did with anatomy, for instance, all of the bones of the body, of the muscles that and insertions and all of those things. But we got to take everything and put it together, and put together a clinical picture. Because now, from what I'm hearing from students and instructors who work in education, that's now a little bit more of the new focus of the NCLEX, that's coming up. That next gen is really kind of putting together these clinical pictures and really kind of getting more critical thinking together, absolutely. So I'm glad that you said that. Does your student, as far as the NCLEX next gen, into your courses as you go along, or do they have a plan for later once it's time to graduate and get closer to taking the exam, would you say?
So we use like it's called the Sheer Path and Evolve. So it has a lot of kind of like
Yeah.
next NCLEX kind of next gen. It actually questions. We have like a lot of HESI kind of tests. So the,
Mm,
those tests are supposed to, like the way you score on those, it kind of predicts where you would score on your NCLEX. So we do have a lot of testing that is more like, we have like our regular testing based on our what we're learning in class, and then we have
mm-hmm.
those tests which are kind of more geared towards the NCLEX. So it's like a mixture as we go through, so that when you do get to your NCLEX, what I'm told, when you get there, you're kind of well prepared. Of course, you're still going to have to probably study a little more outside of what we have, but we do have a
Yeah.
lot of repetitiveness. We have a lot of those questions where you have to pick the best solution or based on the clinical evaluation. So we do have those kind of uh, questions and tests that we do throughout uh, our program.
Okay, that's awesome. And I'm glad to hear, of course, Evolve Elsevier is still around. Yes, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I remember actually, with all of our books, because a lot of them were Evolve Elsevier, we would have the workbook to go along with it. But then we would also have the e part, the like the electric ebook type of thing, where it would have like questions and all sorts of stuff that we could also use in addition to that. And so I always recommend to folks to just use any and all things that come with your with the books and everything that they have. If it's something that you can add on or use and do, definitely do that. And I'm glad that your school is actually embedded that too as well. I can't say that coming through my nursing program at the time, which was some time ago now, that it was like purposefully or known that, hey, these are NCLEX questions, or this is, like a program or something that we're going to use. I just remember like at the closer to the end, they had Kaplan come in and talk to us and see if we wanted to use their programming. And then, they had like another information session for like a couple different types of like NCLEX review sessions, but it was towards the end. It wasn't embedded throughout. And so I'm glad to hear that your school is doing that. And I'm hoping for all the listeners and viewers out there that you all consider this as a question maybe to ask when you go to information sessions or go to the website or talk to other students that are part of the programs, like, hey, what are they doing for that, and making sure that that's something that you're asking them. Do you think that's a good idea too?
I believe so. For what I'm hearing, it is we have like the EAQ, so it's a lot. It's that part. Section is really geared towards the NCLEX, so that we are prepared and kind of know where we will score on the
Mm-hmm.
NCLEX. So I think areas that we need more work because it goes through from like novice to intermediate to proficient, so you kind of can see where you are, and then
Okay.
you can tailor those. Your questions. You can tailor tests. You can make custom ones. It's a lot of interactive. It's all the books now are online, which I don't really like, but if it works for other
Mm.
people, but that you can kind of customize what you want to do or what you're looking for, um, online and take tests and just go over and see where you're struggling at, and then it gives you a lot of the rationales and all of that too.
Okay. Now you just said that you don't prefer the online part. Are you a paper and pen gal?
I am paper and pen. I write down. I print out. I have a printer that it's funny because we take our class online. It's like, I see you over there, right? I have a binder full. I write everything
Mm-hmm.
because it just doesn't work for me. Maybe because I'm a little
Mm.
older, so I'm like, I need to touch it. I need to see it. I need to feel it so
Yes.
that I can go through on the iPad. It gets lost. Like they're like, oh,
Hmm.
it's more organized. I'm like, yeah, but for me, I need to be able to flip the page, and I guess that might help with the
Mm.
being able to recall the stuff for me, being able to look and move. So maybe it's part of my learning style that all of that
Mm.
kind of incorporates being able to do that for me.
Yes, yes, yes. I feel the same. I'm it took a while for me to adjust with, when I did my master's program anyway, being in school online and digital stuff all the time and everything. Even though I do a lot of things digital, it still was hard because I still have a notebook, a calendar right now sometimes that I'll write by hand, and the calendar on the wall, I write stuff down that I have to do. I don't just put it in my electronic calendar, but of course, I'm still grateful for everything that we have in this technological new world. Because what I did take advantage of when I was in nursing school with the ebooks was copy and paste some parts out of the book, the ebook version, and then bring that together so that it was like a shortened version of what I needed to review later and everything. So it kind of works and everything, but it is something about that mind is I don't know what this, it's not like a mind, maybe kind of like a mind body connection, I don't know, something is going on there with that muscle memory or something when we write things, I think. And so whatever way, what, as they say, whatever floats your boat, whatever way works for you and everything. Absolutely. So, what would you say for you is been the best thing about being in nursing school so far for you?
Just meeting people, meeting the new people, being able to make the connections, knowing that if I start something or something I want to do, I can do it. So that's like the biggest thing. Just having the ability to do something greater, like going back to school, or just knowing that I can do it, or I'm
Mm.
capable of doing it. And sometimes we have self doubt. So it's kind of like
Hmm.
get that self doubt away. like, you can do this. You are smart enough to do this, even though you may not think you are, but you're doing it, so it's doable. So you
Hmm.
can do it. So I think
Yes,
my
yes.
biggest thing, like, you always look at people, or sometimes you judge yourself, or you're your own
Mm,
worst critic, and it's like, well, am I able to do that? Am I smart enough to do that? So I feel
hmm,
like I'm kind of getting that, cleaning out those cobwebs, getting that doubt out of there, that
mm,
I am able to, whatever I want to do, I could do it. Anything anybody wants to do, they could do it. I even, to kind
mhm.
of go a little off subject a little bit, I had somebody post something like, "Oh, I wish I could be a doctor." They don't, I guess whatever they seen, they're like, "I could do that," and I was like, "You can do it. All you gotta do is go to school."
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
They don't do anything more than you did. They're not capable of anything more than you are. All they did was go to school. So that's my
Hmm.
thing. I say, just go to school. You can do it, and
Wow.
that's what I've learned, and like I said, the connections I've made.
Yes, yes, yes. Those connections are wonderful. I'm still connected to so folks, even though we don't get to see each other as often as I would like, I would say, but I'm still connected to folks that I went to nursing school with many, many years ago. I mean, there's just something about the struggle, earning, like you said, earning this degree. And just also not just the challenges and even the highlights and the good things about nursing school. It's just something about being able to have a conversation with somebody about what happened in class, or what's happening with something with the human body, or a disease process, or a drug. And it's just like, those aren't conversations you can necessarily have with family members or friends, but you can, as they say, sometimes nurses are so unique and weird, because you can be on the nursing floor with somebody and take a clean, a brand new emesis basin or something like that, and put your lunch in there and be eating out of it, and be talking about blood and seminal fluid, vaginal fluid, and stool or whatever, and just be eating like, yeah, and then I had to clean up so and so, and and it's just like,
Right. People look at you weird. You got to be there to understand. I say it's a trauma bond. Like, we have a trauma bond. We've been through
yeah,
some things, so it's like, okay, you understand. We can bond over those things, even though it might not be where everybody else understands. But since we were there, we
right.
went through it. We can bond over it.
I like that. I like that term, trauma bond. Yeah, I think that kind of sums that up pretty well. Because between the quote unquote trauma of nurse, well, even just the pre-nursing phase too, just going through all the things you have to go through just to get into nursing school, but then to get in nursing school, get through nursing school, work in nursing, and all some of the things that we have to go through, you know, um, yeah, it can be traumatic. So, that bond is real, and then, as they say, nurse gang, right?
Right, right, right.
Yes. And I love too how you said, you brought up that example about that person said, I wish I could be a doctor, I wish I could do this, I wish I can do that, and you're encouraging them, and talking about the self talk that you give yourself, and how sometimes that can be, how we can kind of sometimes be our worst enemy. Um and it's like, you already are kind of, doing that work still, working that way towards that psychiatric mental health. You're helping people and thinking, thinking about something differently, taking a chance and really kind of believing in themselves, and just, reframing their thinking, as some people would say in mental health, reframing their thinking and everything, to kind of see life in a new way, and seek change and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's what
so,
my friends do all the time. They always come to me for the
yeah.
advice. Like, I don't know. Why do you think I know? And y'all, some of them are older than me. What do you think I know more than you? But I always get that. They call me, ask me just the random things. Like I said, I do all the recon work. They just always ask me the
Mm,
randomest things. And I'm like, why do you? Well, hold on, I'll be back. I do know that, but why do you think I know? Why did you think I might have known that? But
hmm. Okay. That might have to be your name, the recon nurse.
right.
And we gonna reconstruct your thinking. Just go ahead and write
Right.
that down, and get your social handles and all that going. And earn that. That's yours. That's yours.
Right.
So I think I was going to ask you one more thing before we close out. Okay, so you did talk about that you had background a lot with African American studies, and I think you wanted to talk, you want to look at focusing on the psychiatric mental health and kind of supporting Black and African Americans more in their mental health. Um, what am I trying to say? So have you, as far as in your pre-nursing phase and nursing phase, have you been like the only or one of few Black pre-nursing students or nursing students in your programs at all?
Mostly all my pre-nursing programs, so like all the
All your prereqs
anatomy
and
and all
stuff?
prereqs, it would be maybe like one or two of us.
Okay.
Um, it may be like I had one class that started off at like I think it was like three or four of us, but by the end, it
Mm,
actually ended up only being me. Um,
wow.
and right now in my nursing program, there are one, two, three. It's maybe like it's five. It's six of us. So there is actually not to break it up like that, but there are three African American students and then three African students uh,
Gotcha, gotcha.
in our program. So
Wow.
that's all the Black people. Those are all the Black people. So that's how it is now, and that's I think that's more than I've seen other places.
Mm,
At school, they're kind of like trying to make it more diversified. So they're kind of like,
mm,
I want to say, targeting uh, uh, Black and brown people to kind of like bring them into
okay.
the program. So that's kind of where they are. What is it? The DEI or what is it? The diversity inclusion kind of like.
Yeah.
uh,
Uh-huh.
So I think that's kind of what's going on now. They're
Okay.
trying to be more inclusive.
Okay. Good, good, good. Very good. Yeah. Because, for those of you who are listening and watching, not we, everybody talks about the nursing shortage, in the news time in and time out. But the diversity in nursing is not that much talked about in the media. And, depending on the research that you may come across, when we're looking at the representation within nursing, only somewhere between 6 to 12% of nurses across the U.S. are Black. But the challenging thing is that as we go along in years, more and more people, there will be more and more BIPOC people, I guess I'll say, that will be here in the United States, that can be, patients, for instance. And so we won't have a lot of nurses that look like the populations we serve if schools don't make the efforts, such as the one that Sharrell is at, to kind of diversify their student body population, just as a start. To have, just be one of six, and that's one of six that I pray finish out this program and everything, because, because the one thing about programs too is that they can make sure that they are looking to recruit the students that are, from BIPOC communities and have DEI and all those things. But we have to make sure that we're also looking at retention as well. So we want to recruit and retain, and not just recruit and retain, but make sure that they also graduate and pass the NCLEX too, because it's about all of that. It's a full process, because it helps no student to make sure that you get me in here, and that you help me to graduate, but then there's something missing and I can't pass the NCLEX. And so that full out support needs to be there, but I'm still glad that they are making that effort and everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm still glad, nevertheless, that they also, that opportunity, however way, whatever way it came to your school, that you were able to get introduced to National Black Nurses Association, because it's a lot of student people that I meet now, nurses, that are like, Black Nurses Association, National Black Nurses, I never heard of that. And they're nurses, and they've been nurses for 5, 10, 15, 20, 20, all these years. Never heard of it. Didn't hear about it in nursing school, and it's crazy, And so I'm so glad that you, whatever way that it came, maybe, I don't know if it was because the conference was nearby or what, but I'm so glad that you were able to get that opportunity to soak up all that black nurseness.
Right. So there's some of the faculty at our school. We have Dr. Shalita Campbell. That's who kind of
Dr.
introduced.
Shalita there? Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah, she's there. So I actually went and volunteered with her yesterday
Okay.
at the Alzheimer's Association. They had a conference here, so we did some volunteer work, some blood screening and blood pressure taking and blood pressure.
Okay.
So yeah, so she's here. So that's kind of who I've been kind of gotten connected with, and she was the one who um, introduced us to the conference and did all the footwork for us to be able to go
Okay.
there. So
Wow. Kudos. That is so awesome. That is so awesome because again, anybody that's listening or watching, you can be a black pre-nursing student, black nursing student. You don't even have to be black. It it still just helps to have that exposure, just I'll say just in general to nursing organizations that you can be involved with, not only as a student but as a nurse as you come out. So there's the Filipino Nurses Association, Hispanic Nurses Association. There's men in nursing. There's the minority, one that looks at minority nurses, and then of course there's all the specialties. But either way, get exposed, get involved, get yourself a mentor because it's so important to be able to have that, because it's nursing is for a lifetime and you might as well have somebody along the way, with you in the journey. And
I agree.
so yes, so now we've come to the end, and so now it's time for you to be the host for a second. So this is the flip the microphone portion of the thing. So of this podcast. So let me know what question that you have for me.
Okay. Well, I had wrote them down because I had a few, but I'll ask the one I kind of really wanted uh, to know. And that one question was, what are some challenges you had to overcome to get where you are?
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Challenges. So challenges for me were being a adult student going back to school, starting off. It was kind of hard for me because I already had my bachelor's degree, and when I entered my nursing program, it was an associate's program. So for a long time, not for a long time, but for a bit, I was struggling with. I felt like I was going backwards. And the challenge in that too was that I was classmates. Although I was classmates with people who were my age and older, it was still quite a bit of other students who were younger than me, and they had came straight out of high school and they hadn't gotten their bachelor's degree yet, and it was just like it was kind of hard, feeling like, man, like I've moved backwards, and like I feel like I was out of place, a bit. So that was kind of hard. But then the other thing that was really challenging in my journey, I guess I'll just say while I was in nursing school, was that our nursing program closed down before we finished our senior year. So right before we were supposed to start, they closed it down, split us up, into two different sister schools, and seeing that, and then and I had become a part of National Student Nurses Association the year prior, so I was due to be the vice president. And so the chapter that I became a part of and got voted in to be the vice president was dissolved because the program was closed down. So my classmate, who actually was voted to be the president, her and I thankfully wound up being at the same school. So we had to re-charter a new chapter of National Student Nurses Association at that school, get involved with their student government, and merge with the seniors that were already there. So we were seniors in our own right, and then blending with them, and then trying to convince them to be a part of National Student Nurses Association so that we could rebuild and start over before I graduated. So I would say that was a challenge for me just while in nursing school.
Okay. All right. I did have another question, but
Okay, well, slide it on in there and then we'll end on out.
okay. And what are your 5 to 10 year plans for your future, like your goals?
Wow. Man, 5 and 10 years. I don't know if I've ever thought about this. Okay. Um, Definitely want to make sure that I continue to build what I have with Nursing Inspired as a business and being able to really affect a lot more students to be able to fulfill that mission of seeing more Black nurses across the United States. And so by helping at the beginning of the pipeline and helping pre-nursing students being able to kind of fulfill their goal and getting into nursing school, and seeing their dream go forth. But I also want to make sure that I get to do more telehealth with what I do, with time freedom. Working in the clinic can be, quite a lot, full-time community health, women's health. And so I would like to be able to do more telehealth to be able to, look at the time that I'm using wisely, I guess I'll say, because I would like to, make sure that I still have time to start a family and everything, and pursue that as a life goal, because it can't just be nursing, when we wake up, and nursing when we go to sleep. We are people and human beings outside of this, and so I would like to do that. So I'll just say, just overall in the next, 5 to 10 years, I want to see a little Fallon and a little Fallon, whatever, son, son and daughter walking around here, while still helping the next generation. Only other thing I'll say is teaching. So I do want to make sure in the midst of all of that. So I think that's where telehealth will help, because it's like if I cannot be working so much time in the clinic and I'm doing more telehealth, I can also look at teaching and also working my business and raising my family. So just really looking at more time freedom to be able to kind of pursue what has been held off for so very long.
Okay. All right. Those are good answers.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much for answering that, and taking the time to be the host for a moment and flipping the microphone. And so do you have any last closing thoughts, to help other, future nurses to be prepared, organized, and inspired along their way in their journey to becoming a nurse?
My one thing I always tell people is it's doable. Whatever you want to do, you can do. Try to get rid of self-doubt, make sure your self-esteem is intact. Everything you want to do is doable. Get out your own way. You can do it. Just if you put your mind to it, you can. Whatever the biggest dream you have, just dream it. And one of my quotes that I always have, I have it, I don't know if it's hanging up here, I think it's over there, but it says, don't give up on your daydream. So whatever that is, just keep dreaming. Dream and do. You can do, because you can achieve whatever it is. If you want to sell rocks, you can sell rocks. Somebody gonna buy rocks. There's a millionaire rock seller out there. So whatever you want to do, you can do it. So just put your foot forward. Find somebody that maybe has done it before. Maybe you can connect with them. But whatever you want to do, it is doable.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. You're absolutely right. And actually, when you talk about those rocks, I actually do have a rock collection, actually. I actually do have a rock and a stone collection, of different types of stones and rocks and things that are from the earth and everything. So you never know, but either way, to get started. So, Sharrell, I'm so glad that you joined me today on today's podcast. This has been such a pleasure and honor, to have you here, and just to glean from your leadership experiences, and to start off this second season of Listen Up, Future Nurse podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad I got to share, and I look forward to speaking with you again and just making more connections. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. So, Sharrell, you're on LinkedIn. Is that a good place for people to connect with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I don't know I think it's my name. My whole name is on LinkedIn. Everything else is kind of not all that important. But yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn under Sharrell Page.
I know that's right. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to find, right? Connect right there.
I have my business page too, but mostly all my stuff is on LinkedIn, and yeah, that'd be a good place for like my nursing stuff if you want to find that.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so I'll share in the show notes for everyone how to be in contact with Sharrell and follow and all of that things. And if you want to be mentor to Sharrell, please make sure my nurses out there to reach out so that you can help. If you're a psychiatric nurse and you got some gems of wisdom, or actually, as we say on here, pills of wisdom to share with her, please make sure to do that on LinkedIn too. All right, till next time, you all. Thanks again for joining us. All right, it's a wrap. Make sure to watch us live, listen to your favorite podcast locations, leave us a review, or if you'd like to reach out to support this podcast, reach out to me as a speaker, or sign up for coaching, please use your virtual remote. You can give us a review on your favorite place to listen or watch this podcast, such as Google, Yelp, or Trustpilot, and you can reach those from the virtual remote as well by scanning the QR code on the screen or by visiting bit.ly/FutureNursePodcast. Love what we're doing and want to create live streams like this? You can access the sign-up referral link in the show notes for StreamYard. If you'd like to be organized like the virtual remote, consider making one for your next event or as a link in bio with Societap. Please support this Black female-owned company and get yours today.